Today I would like to share with you few important points to make our practice more complete and meaningful. Practice is one of the most important for any liberation seeker. Without practice, there's no way we can be temporarily free from all kinds of samsaric such as suffering and so forth, and eventually to acquire liberation for oneself and other. Therefore, practice is something must for all of us. Now, there are ways of practicing. Practicing is important, but it is more important to know how to practice. Or else, you may spend a lot of time. At the end of the day, you may not achieve so much as we may wish. So it is very important. We should always begin with the refuge prayer. Refuge to Buddha, who is like a doctor who diagnoses our disease, which we inherit for many, many lifetimes, such as anger, jealousy, and so forth. With these poison in us, we cannot expect to be happy in this samsara. And Buddha, secondly, applies medicine, which is Dharma. Dharma represents medicine, which is mainly to cure these diseases. And finally, we have to depend on Sanghas, assembly one, who is able to help you, guide you, and give you instructions how we can be, how can we practice and way forward. So it is very important. And particularly in Tantrayana, we need to take refuge from three routes. Guru represents the blessings, source of blessing. Yidams could be Tara, could be any deities that we practice as in everyday life for acquiring accomplishments, and of course eventually enlightenment. And finally, all the Dhammapala protectors, to protect us not just externally, most importantly internally from all the poisons which bring us destruction, all this destruction emotion. So this is something very, very important. And when you take refuge, we have to take wholeheartedly, and we must have this convinced faith, which means that logically, practically, when I take refuge, I will be protected, that I'm sure about refuge. There's not something that is not going to work, but refuge is something that important for me in order to achieve success in our practices. So in order to take refuge, we must have a convinced, unshakable devotion to Buddha Dharma and three rules. For instance, devotion represents the ring, and blessings of Buddha and three rules represents hook. So without ring, hook can't pull. Therefore, it is very, very important. And then in the middle, what is important is that when we practice, we should always try to generate bodhichitta. We should always begin with caring and love, then compassion. So when we have compassion, we are able to develop aspirational bodhichitta, which is to wish everybody happy, healthy, and prosperous, and engaging bodhichitta to really physically, mentally engage to help needy ones. This is called conventional bodhicitta or relative bodhicitta. And ultimate bodhicitta is something that we can practice now only when we attain first bhumi. Once you take refuge, then we begin with the actual practice such as Yidam, which always involve two stages, creation and completion state. Without two stages, engagement of two stages, we can't really practice well. So we should begin with creation stage, whereby instead of looking things as what we see externally, we visualize all the things that we see externally as a mandala, as a form of deities, and then ourselves as a deity, and our third thoughts are such as image of true Tara. So this way we withdraw ourselves from clinging to all this external object which are not real, which is just like an illusion. And due to all this external object, we tend to develop attachment when we like something. When we don't like something, we tend to develop hatred. And for something like just ordinary objects, we tend to develop ignorance. So to withdraw from external objects, we need to practice creation stage, which actually makes everything pure. And then we should practice secondly, completion stage. Completion stage is very important practice, because what happens is that when you think all are deity, then we tend to think, oh, deity is the supreme, or deity must be real, all this Buddha must be real. When we have such slightest attachment to even Buddha, brings us imprisonment. So to eradicate eventually all this attachment, so we have to dissolve all the Buddhas and what you visualize externally, internally in the form of light, and try to remain in state of meditation. So first we begin with the creation state, and after creation state, then there will be a place where you recite the mantra. Mostly we have to recite 108 times, at least 3 times, whichever deity when you practice. And after recitation of mantra, then you may sit for a while and meditate, and then you practice completion state, and finally at the end always followed by dedication. Dedication is must, which dedication, when we dedicate no matter how much merit we cultivate, we store these merits. So these merits will remain until we become a Buddha. It's like a drop of water in the ocean, remains until the ocean is totally dried. Therefore, dedication for the sake of all sentient beings is very, very important. So this way, when you include all these points, no matter how short or long your practice, it becomes complete and meaningful practice. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.